Okay, so we say that this is the biasing. Now, most of the times this biasing is it depends on the application of the diode. Okay, and we are interested in finding out how the diode really behaves. So we come to what is called as a diode circuit analysis. As we have already seen, for if you look at the previous equation where we had discussed this particular formula, this mathematical model for the diode. Let us revisit it. Forward current in the diode is equal to, this is the saturation current. Okay, reverse saturation current if you will. Then this is the applied diode voltage, or voltage across the diode. Eta is an intrinsic constant. Okay, so most of the times this is neglected because it is like, one for germanium and two for silicon, but since it is a constant, it is most of the times neglected, so eta need not be there many times. Vt is the voltage equivalent of temperature. Again, I hope you are revising the concepts, you are making a note of the concept somewhere in a separate notebook, because this is what we are going to refer to many times. Okay, so starting with this particular equation, if I have this kind of situation, IF is way too larger than IS, and which normally is the case, because IS is of the order of 10 to the power minus 14 amperes, which is a very small quantity as compared to IF. So I can approximate the equation which we have just now seen to IF is equal to IS into e to the power Vd by Vt. As I said, eta again I am ignoring to be more precise. Now this relationship can be expressed in a logarithmic form. If I take natural log, see it is E, so I am taking the natural log of both the sides and then manipulating this equation, I can easily arrive at this equation. Vd is equal to Vt natural log IF divided by IS. All right. Now this is interesting to note. It is interesting to note that this exponential relationship of IF to Vd, so IF to Vd, it holds over many decades of the current. So that particular span of the decades can be as large as 10 to the power 7. So this exponential relationship is a very interesting characteristic of the diode, or the junction to be more precise. And this exponential relationship is exploited in many applications, okay, which probably we will see later on. But this is basically a very interesting kind of observation, that there is an exponential relationship between current IF and Vd. Now, why this exponential carries so much importance, do you know? See, if I want to add two signals, add two quantities, if I want to multiply two quantities, what I can do is I can add the logarithmic equivalent of both these quantities, find out what is the total, and then get the antilog. So signal multiplication this multiplication operation is very nicely done by this particular exponential relationship. Okay, many times you require to multiply the signals, as you will see later on in some other courses, that signal multiplication is many times required. So this is a very important property of the junction diodes, and this is also found in the bipolar junction transistors, and which can be put to use for many different nice, interesting, and very effective applications. Now let us consider the forward IV relationship and evaluate the current I1. Now what I'm doing is I'm simply calculating, or let us say substituting for I1, and instead of IF I'm substituting I1. I want to find out what is I1 and V1. Okay, so it's simple. I have to simply substitute this I1 is equal to IS into e to the power whatever is the voltage across the diode V1 divided by Vt. Similarly, at some other point, I can have the same relationship for I2 and V2. So these two equations I have, if I combine these two equations together in a simple way, I can just take a ratio I2 by I1 and I'll end up with this interesting thing. Now, what is this? It simply tells us the relationship between the two currents and the two voltages applied across the diode. Current flowing through the diodes versus rather the relationship between the voltage applied across the diodes and the currents. All right. Now we can write this simply as V2 minus V1, again taking the natural log of both the sides. I can have V2 minus V1 is equal to Vt into natural log I2 by I1. In terms of now, if I change the base, this is natural logarithm. If I change it to base 10, I get this quantity. V2 minus V1 is 2.3 into Vt log I2 by I1. This is a very, very important equation. What does it say? It says that for a decade factor of 10 change in current, the diode voltage drops. The diode voltage drop changes by 2.3 times Vt. Now Vt we have already said is nearly 26 millivolts at room temperature. So it is nearly this 2.3 into Vt is nearly 60 millivolts. Okay. So a very important result we get is that for a decade change in current, the decade means what? I2 will be 10, I1 will be 1, and so I'll be having 2.3 into Vt. Are you getting this? If I2 is 10 milliamperes, microamperes, whatever, and I1 is 1 milliampere, if I take the ratio and the log of that, log of 10 is 1. So 2.3 into Vt, which turns out to be 60 millivolts. So again, an important concept, please note it down. Decade change, factor of 10 change in current, the voltage drop, diode voltage drop changes by 2.3 Vt, which is 60 millivolts. This is again an important relationship. Now we'll start with an example and see how to find out. If I want to find out the current ID and I want to find out what is Vd. Now this is an interesting thing. As I said, we have two equations, two unknowns, and this is a very good method. Many times such a question is asked in gate examinations to analyze the diode circuit. Okay, so how do you start with that? This we are given that VDD, that is the voltage applied here, is 5 volts. This R is 1 kilo ohms. Okay, and it is also given that assume that the diode has a current of 1 milliampere at voltage of 0.7 volts. Okay, this is one condition which is given to us. How do you begin? To begin with, we assume that the what is it that we want to find out? We want to find out what is Vd and what is Id. Now this may seem a little bit ridiculous to you for beginning, because most of the times we blindly take voltage across the diode as 0.7 volts. But if I want to find out the exact voltage and the exact current flowing through the diode given this particular configuration, how do I do it? This is the answer to that. So we begin. So it's an iterative process. Please remember this very carefully. It's an iterative process. We assume that Vd is 0.7 volts and use this particular equation. How do I get this equation? Id. I simply use the KVL. Okay, this is your Id. Okay, so if I put it down in terms of equation, how does it look like? It is VDD minus Id into R minus Vd equal to 0. From this I can derive this equation. What is that equation? Id is VDD minus Vd divided by Id. This is the equation which I have arrived at using KVL. Now if I substitute the values 5 volts, 0.7 volts, 1 milliampere, I get Id as 4.3 milliamperes. This is the very first estimate. Please remember, this is not the final answer. Okay. Now we use this equation which we have derived in the previous slide, and substituting 2.3 Vt is 60 millivolts. For this equation we get V2 is equal to V1, just a transposition of V1 to the right hand side, and I get V2 is V1 plus 0.06, that is 60 millivolts. This is 60 millivolts. So 0.06 log I2 by I1. I2 is, which I estimated as 4.3 milliamperes. I1 was given as 1 milliamperes for 0.7 volts. And with this particular value, I get a value of Vd as 0.738 volts. Now this is a better estimate. the correct estimate, in fact, as a matter of fact. In the course of time, you'll see that. So what I have done is I have actually found out what is the voltage across the diode. But again, this is an iterative process. I want to make it more nice, more accurate. So this is the result of the first iteration is ID is 4.3 milliamperes and VD is 0.738 volts. Now I will use the same values in this equation. Again, carry out the second iteration in the similar manner, and I can estimate now more accurately what is the value of ID, and it turns out to be 4.262 milliamperes. Okay, again use this equation over here and estimate the value of V2, which fortunately turns out to be the same value. So we can stop the iteration because the value has converged. There is no more change in the value. Okay, so since there is no change in the value, you stop the iteration, and finally what I get as the solution is ID is equal to 4.262 milliamperes and VD is 0.738 volts. This is how you solve the circuit employing the diode. Understood, all of you? Have all of you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think these things are new to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Or you have already done
Yes,
this?
sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So my guess was
Excuse me,
correct.
sir.
And that is the reason why directly going into transistor biasing as the first unit, I wanted to clarify some very important things. Because you see, even simple things like these would be difficult to solve. There is, I mean, the other way we have already seen. One way is to solve by this method, which I have already shown you. The other is using a graphical method, okay, where you have all this, this is the curve, transistor diode curve, and then you have the load line, and this is the point which we are interested in finding out. So this is exactly what we have done here. So this was the graphical way, and now this whatever we are looking at is an iterative process, and within 2 or 3 iterations you converge to the correct value. So this is a very interesting example of how to analyze the circuit. Okay. Any doubts, any questions with this particular example?
No, Sir, sir.
In this example, sir, from how you put 2.3 VT equals to 60 millivolt.
This is the slide which you should be careful on. That is the reason why I discussed everything right in the beginning before using it. You getting it? We have
Yes,
seen
sir.
the
Yes.
derivation. All right.
Yes, sir.
Look at this slide. 2.3. Why 2.3 comes into picture? Because I am converting from natural log now to log to the base 10. That is where this 2.3 comes into picture. This is a constant, sort of constant quantity, 2.3 into VT. And since VT is nearly 26 millivolts, multiplied by 2.3, what do you get? Do it.
Sir, approximately 60 millivolt.
Exactly. So now you are understood why there is this 60 millivolts, where it comes from. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Any other question regarding this very interesting example? All right, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Are all of you comfortable with this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now we start with the device which actually revolutionized the electronic industry, and that is the bipolar junction transistor. Now, what is a bipolar junction transistor? Why do we call it as bipolar junction? We already know there will be some semiconductor junctions around and so on and so forth. So it is a junction. Why it is called as bipolar and why it is called as transistor is what we're going to see. So bipolar junction transistors are similar to junction diodes, but there is one more junction which is included. You will see here that we only had NP or PN, whatever you would like to say, junction, but now we are having, so we had only one junction earlier. This was the junction we had in case of the diode. But now we have an additional junction because there is one more section of semiconductor being metallurgically joined to this part. Okay. Another interesting to note here is that for this particular example, which is an NPN structure, we have N-type semiconductor and a P-type connected to P-type semiconductor, which in turn is connected to N-type connector. So these are all metallurgical connections or junctions, let us say combinations. Okay. Another interesting thing to note here is that N, it is very lightly doped. So this region collects the current carrier. P, which is very lightly doped, this again is called as the base. This is called as a collector, and this is heavily doped. Emitter is always heavily doped. Again, revisit that concept of doping. What do you mean by doping?
Adding impurities.
Adding impurities. So if you add impurities, what happens to the conductivity?
It will increase.
Conductivity will increase. Or in simple plain words, you will have a larger number of current carriers in this particular section. Larger number of current carriers. When we say it is lightly doped, it means that it is having lower numbers of current carriers. So that is true for N as well as for P over here. That is for collector as well as for base. But base is the lightest. I mean, it's very, very lightly doped. Base is very, very lightly doped, whereas N is somewhere between this and this. Okay. So the transistor regions are named accordingly. What we have is an emitter, we have a collector, and we have a base. As you can see, emitter is very rich in current carriers because it is heavily doped. What is its job? What is its function? Its function is to send carriers into the base region. We are going to see in more details about this. And then on to the collector. So all these carriers are supposed to go into this region finally. Start from emitter and end up in collector. What is the job of the collector? It is to collect the carriers. That is the reason why the names are emitter and collector. Okay, emitter emits electrons, collector collects electrons. In this case, okay, we are talking about NPN here. So who are the majority current carriers in this particular region?
The electron.
Yes. So we have the electrons in this as the majority current carriers in this. Now, for the time being, we'll just simply ignore that there are some minority current carriers also for some time. Later on, we have to make use of it. So, what are the majority current carriers here? Here we have electrons. What are the majority current carriers here? They are again electrons. Even though it is lightly doped, it still has got majority current carriers as electrons. What about this? Who are the majority current carriers in P-type?
Holes.
They are the holes. Very good. So when, okay, we'll see that in more details later on. This base actually acts as some kind of a control. Okay, we are going to see in more details. And the entire devices theory is based on, for BJT is based on this concept. Okay, the base can allow none, some, or many of the carriers to flow from emitter to collector. So if I have something over here, like if I assume that this is a gate of some sort, okay, and this gate is opened by a person. If the gate is partially opened or the gate is completely closed, the carriers will not be allowed to go from here to here. If the gate is partially open, some of the electrons will go from majority carriers, current carriers will go from here to here. And if it is completely open, a lot of electrons will be going over there. So this base forms the performs the function of control. Please remember this. This is how it looks like in a sort of a 3D kind of thing. That we have this N-type, we have the P-type, we have the N-type again. This is true for NPN transistor. We have two such flavors, NPN and PNP. Now tell me, in this particular device, who is the majority carriers? Carrier over here?
Holes.
Here we have the holes, correct. Here also we have the holes. And who are the minority carriers? They are the electrons, which are there in the base,
Electrons.
type base. Look at the symbols correctly. This is a very, very important thing. Many times this circle is omitted. So you can simply have, for NPN, you can draw it like this. For PNP, you can draw like this. Now these arrows do have some certain significance. What do you think it is?
So the direction of current.
Absolutely correct. But you see the holes, the electrons in this particular device, the electrons are going from here. I'll mark it as negative, and they are going here. All of them are going here. Okay. Okay, I should. So all the electrons are moving in this direction. Look at the direction of electron flow. So how do you say the current direction is the ulta? As if it is coming here. As if the current is flowing like this. Why do you say that?
Yes, sir.
Why do you say that? It should have been the other way around, no? Current electrons are going from this to this. Look at the direction of electron flow. In spite of that, why is
The
it?
current
Yes, go on.
current direction.
Again,
The
the
current
concept of
direction is opposite to the direction of electrons.
yes, conventional current. So when we talk about conventional current, it is opposite to that of the electron current. Got it? All of you?
Yes, sir.
So the direction of current flow is from collector. I mean, it's like this actually. Okay. Whereas, what about this guy now? The holes are going from here to here. Again, so why this direction now? Yes?
The direction of the whole current is in the same direction of the conventional current.
Or I will put it in this way. What is whole current, by the way?
Sir, opposite flow of the electrons.
Yes, it's actually the flow of electrons only, but in the opposite direction. So you can see here that this electron is actually flowing or going and sitting in the place of the hole. So, but it will actually create a vacancy here. So we say that the hole has moved in this direction. So whole direction, whole current direction and the conventional current direction are one and the same. That is the reason. We have already seen this effect earlier. Okay, so please be careful about the symbols and the direction of the current flow here. Okay, now why it is called as a bipolar device? Because both holes as well as electrons will take part in the current flow. How come? In NPN device, we know that electrons are going from emitter to collector, but again there is some kind of hole current also possible here. So we have the holes in this region. So holes as well as electrons both participate in the operation of the device. And so since they are of opposite polarity, we call it as the bipolar device. Okay. So current flow is because of both holes as well as electrons in bipolar junction transistor. I mean, that is the reason why it is called as bipolar. Got it? Yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, let us proceed. This is the structure of BJT. No need to get into, don't get overwhelmed by the structure and all that. Just this is an information for you to understand how the transistor is really made. If you see the 3D, let us have a look at the 2D first of all. Okay. So you have the N type. Then what they do is they create a P type, and again they create this N type. Okay. And this forms the emitter, this forms the base, and the other one is the collector. You can see over here very clearly, this is marked as N plus, and this is N and this is P. What may be the reason? Because
And it's highly doped.
yes, emitter is highly doped, base is lightly doped, and again collector is also
Lightly doped.
And that is the reason why we mark it as N plus here, P and N like this. Okay. If you look at it's actually a 3D structure. So again, as I said, you start with the N type substrate or N type, let us say, material, and then you put in, then you, what you do is you have some kind of process wherein this particular base, this particular region over here, this region is made P type, and this region is then made N type, and these are the electrical contacts. Okay, so these are the electrical contacts. So the structure is fairly simple. Okay, fine. Now, since we have the junctions, we are bound to have the barrier voltages. Please, if you have any doubts regarding the barrier voltages, refer back to the session on diode that we have already studied. Refer back to the concept of barrier potential or barrier voltages. So now we have two barrier potentials here corresponding to these two junctions. So I'll call this as the emitter junctions JE, and I'll call this as the collector junction JC. So we have two junctions. Now, why aren't they symmetrical? You see, there is some, this is asymmetrical. Why is that so? Yeah, I've given you the answer already on the slide. Why is that so?
Because the depletion region will be very less in the part where
it will be less in emitter, it will be less in collector, whereas in base, which is lightly doped, the depletion region penetrates more into this, and so we have this kind of. So you see, this correlate this with whatever we have already seen, and that is the reason why I said these electronics is such a funny subject where all the concepts are relying on the previous concepts that you have learned. Okay, so you have to keep yourself, you should not forget the previous concepts, and if you forget them, then it's going to be a big problem. So we have such a kind of barrier potential. Again, as I said, positive on the N side, negative on the P side. Positive on the N side, negative on the P side. Now these are the junctions which are normally, these are the barrier voltages which are formed as soon as I have the metallurgical junctions created. I have not applied any voltage, nothing. So these are the built-in potentials again, just like the diode. All right. Now, this is for PNP. Now you can see here the polarities are reversed. Now N type is the base. Penetration of depletion region is more into N type, and correspondingly I have this kind of asymmetrical barrier voltages over here. Okay. This is exactly the same as that of the NPN, except for that the polarities are reversed. Now there are three modes of operation of BJT. Okay, we have the cutoff, we have the active, and we have the saturation. Each one of them excuse me, will be achieved with specific combinations of the biasing of the emitter base junction and the collector base junction. So call it as JE here, call it as JC here, because we have already used some other terminology here. So what does it say? It says that if emitter junction is reverse biased, and collector junction is also reverse biased, then the mode of operation of BJT is cut off, as if the gate is completely closed. Whereas if I have emitter junction forward biased and collector junction reverse biased, this is a very interesting combination. We say that the mode of the operation is active. Now, it will be oversimplification if I say, okay, the gate is halfway open. No, it's not like that, really speaking. Okay, but you can, for the timing, you can assume it to be like that. In saturation, both the junctions are forward biased. The gate is completely open. Okay. So these are the three modes of operation. We are going to see in details all these things. Let us have a look at the BJT currents, and the most important part till date is the BJT action. Okay, so be ready for that. Let us now assume that I am forward biasing. Please look at this device. It is the NPN. Okay, NPN device. If I want to forward bias the emitter junction, what are the polarities that are required? Forward biased. What are the polarities that are
Emitter
required?
base.
Yes,
Emitter
emitter
base
junction forward bias.
junction is forward bias.
So what is
Base
to be
collector
applied to
junction.
N, and what is applied to P?
The positive terminal to P and negative terminal to N.
P
Excellent.
will be
As you can see here that the positive of the battery is connected to P type. Negative, that is of the battery, is connected to the emitter. So what we have is a forward bias. And that is what I said. If you have not revised the forward bias, reverse bias in the previous lecture, again you have to go back and study that. Okay, so this is an interesting combination. I am forward biasing the emitter junction. Now, what am I doing with the collector junction?
Reverse bias.
It is reverse bias. As you can see, N is connected to positive, P is connected to negative. So this is the reverse bias. Now we already know the effect of biasing on the barrier potential. Forward bias reduces the barrier potential. Reverse bias increases the barrier potential. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, once we say that, so this is just like a diode, which is forward biased, NP, just like a diode. It is forward biased diode. That's it. Now the interesting thing really happens over here. And what is that? Let us see. Very, very interesting. Now this is forward biased, but this is reverse biased. Okay. This junction is reverse biased. So how come electrons go into here? Let us see that. That is the crux of the BJT action. Okay. So as I said, the base emitter is forward biased. Means what is going to happen? What is going to happen?
Sir, the width of the depletion region will reduce.
That is all right. That is all right. We already know if I increase the bias in such a manner, the depletion region will collapse. And then what will happen? All the electrons in this region, all the electrons will go here. All the electrons will start going in this region. Forward biasing, no? It is forward biasing. So electrons are going now into this region. All right. Okay. यहाँ तक तो आ गए. Now, tell me, what is this junction? What is the status of this junction? It is reverse bias, no? This junction is reverse bias, right? Okay. Now carefully keep it in mind. JC is reverse bias. Okay, electrons come into base. ठीक है ना? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Electrons come into base. Yeah.
Sir, someone is removing me from the meeting again and again.
Hey, please don't do that, yaar. Please don't behave like small kids. This is a very serious discussion. We are doing something very interesting. Huh? My request to all is that please don't, do this monkey business over here. The most important part I'm telling you, and you guys are really, I don't know. Okay, please don't do that. So, where was I? Electrons are now, many electrons are there into the base. But what is the nature of the base? It is p-type. Base is p-type, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
electrons in p-type are what? They are majority current carriers or minority current carriers?
Minority.
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 They are minority. God knows what is wrong with this pen. This is a very important thing. And we have learned some way back what is the behavior, or I mean, how does the reverse bias affect the minority current carriers?
Sir, they
Yes.
attracted to the positive
Will cross
parity.
the junction.
Well, I have put it in a different way a little bit. Let me go back and refresh your memory. Here it is. What does it say? Yes? Read this, all of you. What does it say? Reverse bias. Yes?
Aids the flow of minority
Aids the
carriers.
Aids
flow
the-
or helps the flow of minority current carriers. Now come back. So what will this reverse bias do to these electrons? What is this
Sir, they
reverse
will help
bias?
the flow.
Yes, it helps the flow of minority current carriers, and that is the reason why all the electrons will land up here. This is the crux. Have all of you understood this?
Yes.
Or do you want
Yes,
me to
sir.
repeat once more?
No.
Sure? Guys, only a few people are responding.
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to repeat this, or have you understood this?
No, sir.
Yes.
What
No,
yes?
sir.
No, sir.
What no? What yes? Please be subjective.
Understood, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir. Understood.
This is very, very important. Please make a note of this carefully. So as electrons come into the base, they become minority current carriers. What does it see? It sees a reverse bias, and we already know that reverse bias aids the flow of minority current carriers, and that is the reason why the electrons are further pushed into this collector region. So this is a very, very simple way of understanding the BJT action. How exactly the emitters end up in collector. ठीक है ना? Now another interesting thing happens, which is actually the second part of BJT action, and that is if I am able to control somehow this current, the base current. So how will the current look like in this case? It will be, current will look like this. Because the electrons are flowing in the opposite direction, no? So external current, conventional current. So this will be the collector current, this will be the emitter current, and this will be the base current. Sorry, the direction is wrong. Okay, here. So the base current, emitter current, and collector current. These are the currents which are external, that is they are not the internal currents of the BJT, bipolar junction transistor. Now, interesting thing happens when I modify this base current. If I change this base current by a small amount in microamperes, if I change this base current by microamperes, you see the collector current changes by milliamperes. Are you able to understand this? If base current is changed by microamperes, we are going to see a very nice example, but just to have a preamble. So, if I change the base current by very small quantity, we get a similar change, but in a larger quantity in the collector current. Now, this actually makes the transistor tick, and what we get is amplification. This is the most important part. All right. Yes.
दिन में जब हवा चला था ना उसके बाद
अरे क्या हो रहा है? हेलो, क्या हो रहा है guys?
Yes, sir.
I was getting some stray conversation here. Anyways, let us proceed. So, have you understood the BJT action?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let us have a detailed look at the detailed currents in case of PNP, for example. So, in case of a PNP device, what exactly is happening there? Remember, it is PNP. What we talked about earlier was NPN. I don't want to confuse you, but at the same time, I want you to look at it at all the 360 degrees. Not only NPN, PNP also. So now, what about PNP? If I want to forward bias, if I want to, okay, one thing which I forgot, this particular mode. What was this mode? Base emitter junction is forward biased and collector base junction is reverse biased. What was the mode?
Active mode.
It is the active mode, correct. So it is better to explain with active mode. Then we'll shift on to cutoff and saturation. So if I want to make this active again, if I want to put this PNP in active region, what is it that I have to do? I have to forward bias the emitter junction and reverse bias the collector junction. Is this the same thing now? In case of this PN now, look at the polarity. Again, P is connected to positive, N is connected to negative. So we are having a forward biasing of this junction. What about this guy? Negative is connected to P, positive is connected to N. So this is reverse bias. Got it? Yes, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Compare this.
Yes, sir.
Compare with this. The polarities are reversed. Okay? The polarities are reversed. Now, going in a little bit deep into the transistor current, what exactly happens? We already know this is a forward bias. And what is the majority charge carrier here? Who are the majority charge carriers in this? Yes?
Holes.
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 The holes, correct. Just like in previous case, it was electrons, now it is holes. What about here? We have the electrons. Again, what about here?
They're holes.
Very good. Now, as I said earlier, we were oversimplifying things, and we said that this was a pure P type. But we know that there are no pure kind of semiconductors like doped semiconductors. We do have some electrons also, but they are in minority. We have already seen this, right? So there will be some electrons here, but we are very few. Here we may have some holes. Again, very few. Here we may have Again, electrons which are again very few. ठीक है ना? So when I say this junction is forward biased, holes will start flowing in this direction. They will go over here. Here they see in n-type, holes are in minority. They see a reverse bias and they are further accelerated into this. This was the simplistic kind of explanation. But at the same time, let us not forget that there are some minority charge carriers also here. Okay. And they are also getting affected. They will also flow. Okay. So very small part does flow, and that is actually the saturation current, which we have already seen in a diode. You see the equation was IF is equal to IS into e to the power Vd by eta Vt in case of the diode, minus 1, of course. So this Is is always going to be there, no? So this actually is the Is. So this is not only consisting of the whole current, it is having some small electron current also, very small, but as compared to this. That is the reason why I've shown this very thick and this is very thin. Okay. Now this is, we have holes here, few holes, but we have a large number of electrons here because they are the majority charge carriers in this region, whereas some holes are getting injected into the base. So some holes will combine with these electrons. Okay, and since these are combining with electrons, some current will flow, and this is called as the recombination current. This is called as the recombination current. In fact, it forms the base current. Whereas a majority of the charge carriers are pushed into the p-type region here in this case. Charge carriers are pushed into the p carriers, p region over here, which are the holes, which are. But at the same time, let us not forget this. This is the reverse bias, and we know that some reverse current will flow when there is a reverse bias between these two, isn't it? And that reverse current is called as ICBO, a very, very important quantity. It is called as a reverse saturation current. Why ICB and why this O? Because when I draw a circuit, say if I have if I reverse bias, let me switch to, okay, I'll make this active now. Okay. So if I have a transistor, let me get exactly at that point so that you'll understand it correctly. So if I have a transistor, like this, and if I have, okay, so this is NPN device. So tell me the polarity for reverse biasing this junction. This should be at a higher potential than this. Okay. When I'm not connecting anything else, that is emitter is left open. When emitter is left open, this reverse bias, naturally you'll have some reverse bias over here and the reverse saturation current flowing. And this reverse saturation current is called as then the ICBO. It simply is the current flowing between collector and base when emitter is open. Okay. All right. So that is the reason why it is called as ICBO. Please note that this is a very important quantity. Okay, let me switch again to the presentation. Okay, so what we have here is ICBO. Please remember all these currents are very important. Why do I call it as IPE? Yes. Why do I call it as IPE? Guys? Students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please respond. Be responsive. Why do we call this IPE? Why do I call this IPC? Yes? You interpret it like this. This is because of the holes, that is a P type, which is the emitter. This is again P type, which is collector. So current corresponding to holes, current corresponding to holes in emitter and in collector. Most of the times we neglect this. Okay, so we get to have very simple. Okay, but before that, I would like to tell you something about the transistor parameters, which are then later on simplified further. So let me just go to that part. Okay. I think we are running out of time, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may be having some other class also. So I think we'll stop here. We'll continue our session tomorrow. All right. So any doubts, any questions so far?
No, sir.
No,
Are all of you following it properly?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Are all of you following this properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
One more thing.
Yes,
we
sir.
have got a lot of time. So that is the reason why I'm taking this right from the basics. So do you want to continue with this, or should I jump directly to transistor biasing and start?
No, sir. Continue with this.
Okay. Is that a yes from all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Fine then. We'll meet tomorrow again at the same time, 10 o'clock. Okay. Meanwhile, I will just float some simple, nice, interesting assignments for you. I hope you have already started with the third unit. Snehal ma'am must have started it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just to maintain the
Sir,
continuity,
where
I
will
would like to
you
take that unit
share the
also later
PPT
on.
for this?
Yeah.
Where will you share the
PPT.
PPT for
Actually,
this?
yeah, I can. That's not a problem. But most of the things I have the annotations on the screen. Those things you're going to miss. So what? I don't have any problem sharing the PPTs at all. But those will be simply these diagrams without the annotations. If that is okay, I can share.
Okay, sir.
Okay, na? What I expect you to do is start taking the notes on your own. Of course, I'll share the PPT, no doubt about that. Okay, one more thing of importance is kindly pay your fees as soon as possible. Okay? Is that okay?
So, so where will you share the PPTs?
Yeah. All the sharing of the resources will be in Edit. I hope you have already downloaded the book, Electronic Devices and Circuits by David Bell, soft copy of a previous edition which I've had. I've already uploaded it on Edit resources. So all this material will be available at the same place. All right. Any other question? If there are no questions, I'll call it a day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, who's that? Thank you, beta.